Hi, Rich Carrubba for bowlingball.com. How to become a bowling cranker. Are you sure that's really what you want to do? Okay, let's say you're an intermediate bowler. You're averaging around 140, 150. You bowl quite a bit, and you want to get more power in your release, and you want to become a cranker. Well, the first thing I've got to say to you is you need good footwork, an appropriate footwork pattern, so your swing path can match the angle you need to release the ball if you increase your rev rate and if you become a cranker with that special bowling ball release motion. And also, you've got to be fairly athletic, and you've got to be nimble and strong enough to keep balance all through your approach so you can deliver the ball at a fairly high ball speed and rev rate in order to be successful. Being a cranker and not being accurate is not going to do you any good. So you've got to be heavily committed to it first. Now, your release action on the bowling ball determines if it's going to hook modestly, sharply, or, maybe go pretty straight. So developing a hook release is generally preferred over not hooking the ball at all, over a straight ball delivery. And a hook bowling ball entering the pocket at the pin deck with an increased angle of entry is going to maximize your pin carry. So if you can add a high rate of revolutions to that, maintain a fairly high ball speed, and you'll create a sharp angle of entry into the pocket, and you'll get the best chances for strikes. Again, though, the risk is greater than throwing the ball straighter with a controlled ball motion because the severe or sharp hooking motion can be very challenging to create a consistent break point and get a consistent back-end reaction to the pocket. So you really need to have the skills to do that. Okay, it sounds like I'm trying to talk you out of it. I'm really not. First of all, maximum power with no control, we know, doesn't give you any direction. So let's talk about the first techniques in becoming a cranker, and I think it starts with good footwork, a good footwork pattern to promote that proper arm swing path. Now, the pro bowlers who crank the ball, let's talk about right-handed bowlers and just think in opposite terms for lefties. They'll kind of walk from right to left. Wherever they stand on the approach, they slide left, usually in the neighborhood of 4 to 6 boards left of where they started is where they slide. And by doing that, it allows the swing to follow them and tuck nicely behind them and feed the ball toward the target nicely, create that inside-outside swing path on the forward swing. So if you have all that hook on the ball, you can't go straight down the boards. It'll hook too soon and come across. So you've got, if your footwork pattern is not walking to the left, if you're a right-handed player, you've got to learn how to do that and do so where you can maintain balance and be in position to make a good delivery. Now, a technique that some of the players use that's being taught by a lot of certified coaches, it's a popular technique. Many of the players on tour do it. One of my friends, the late and the great Don Johnson, PBA Hall of Famer, I used to hear him teach bowlers all the time when they were working on their game to get a little bit bigger hook action. You got to make an arm swing change, and first it requires a footwork change. The first step with the right foot should go straight ahead on a 4-step approach. The second step should step left 3 to 5 boards, 5 to 6 boards, consistently. He still steps out, but also to the left. Your third step, which is the step before the slide on a 4-step approach, should then cross in front of, or pretty close to being in front of your second step, under the center line of your body for good balance, and that makes sense. And then, of course, slide left back underneath. So under the center of your chin or under the center part of your body. If your slide is under the center of your body, you're going to be positioned for good balance during that critical release phase of the bowling ball. So you want to go straight on the first step, left on 2, overlap on 3, and slide underneath on 4. That's one proven system that works. It's something that you can discuss with your coach, and you should have a coach and not just try to develop a cranker release and a new approach and swing path motion on your own, particularly if you're only averaging 140, 50, 60 in that range right now. You need to develop the skills to do it properly. Okay? A couple of tips on releasing the ball with your hand now to be a cranker is you want to make sure you have consistent gripping pressure, more so with your fingers than your thumb, so your thumb can trigger out of the ball quickly. Okay? Next, you want to make sure that if you have a full fingertip ball grip drilled in your bowling ball, that there are some players who choose not to use the thumb, but you want to make sure that the ball fits you properly, you have the right pitch angle so you can get out of the ball quickly, and to produce the strong hook discipline, because it requires a fast and significant rotation of your fingers very quickly from a tilted wrist position to an untilted position at the moment you release the ball. When you set up on the approach, a lot of players, the cranker players, like to set their hand underneath the ball. As the ball swings behind you and begins to swing forward, you want your hand behind the bowling ball, but you might want to let the elbow break a little bit so you can maintain keeping your wrist underneath the bowling ball, as if you're somewhat cradling the ball slightly as you're swinging it forward into the release position. Very few crankers keep the elbow completely straight all the way through on the forward swing. The elbow actually breaks a little bit where the ball cradles a little bit, just a little, doesn't have to become a full cradle, of course, and then it unhinges at the moment of release. The wrist will untilt or unhinge, and the fingers will quickly rotate around the side of the ball 2 to 4 hours on a clock dial. So your hand has to start behind the ball in order to give it axis tilt. Quick enough axis tilt so you have high enough rev rate at a good ball speed, and the challenge is to maintain the right direction to your target down the lane. A quick and manageable amount of finger rotation with tilt will tilt the rotating axis of the ball, and perhaps a range of 45 to 70 degrees of axis tilt will actually be created. And that'll cause a noticeable high rate of revolutions and that crank motion you want to see on the lane. So there's a lot to it to become a cranker. I didn't want to confuse you with all this, but I want to challenge you. Get a coach to work with. Find someone that's experienced with working people and helping improve their release. It's worth spending the money, or you'll frustrate yourself and you'll throw a big hook ball, but your scores won't be any higher because you don't know where it's going. And you got to develop some accuracy in shooting your spares too. So I've taken some time to discuss my feelings about this. I hope some of these tips help you. Read our article on how to become a cranker, and I hope some of that helps as well. Good luck.